Hi, hello, and welcome to the next session of Introduction to Cloud Computing presented by Zapyard. Today's topic, we will try to look at the different various cloud computing IT services, which is the fundamental component of how the services are rendered by the cloud service providers and how they are subscribed. So let us look at the types or kinds of resources that were part of IT services. Okay, so let us first list down major resources that will be part of cloud computing. Let us start with data. Data is also a resource. Applications. Okay. Thirdly, we have the runtime. Okay. Then we have the operating system, which we can tell as OS. The fifth component are the different services. It can be API. Okay. Then the other kind of cloud service can be the storage. Then we have the network. Okay. So put together, these are the very important cloud computing resources, which actually gives us the complete set of IT services that are provided by cloud service provider. Now, based on these seven, we can categorize the different IT services. Okay. Now, let us start with data only. Okay. So, data only. So, now let us try to categorize the different kinds of IT services in cloud computing. Now, when only the data is managed, operated, and owned by the client or the company which is implementing the cloud computing, but the rest of the resources like application runtime, operating system, services, storage, and network are all managed, operated, and owned by the cloud service provider, then it is known as software as a service, or in short form, SaaS, SaaS. When the data along with applications are owned, managed, and operated by the client or the company which is implementing the cloud computing, then it is known as platform as a service, PaaS in short. That means data and applications are managed by the company which is implementing the cloud computing, but the rest of the resources like runtime, operating systems, services, nothing but the API, storage, and network. So the five other components of the IT services are owned, managed, and operated by the cloud service provider. Okay, then it is known as PaaS or platform as a service. And there's the third category. Okay, there's a third category wherein data, application, runtime, and the operating system are all managed by the company which is implementing the cloud computing. Then it is known as infrastructure as a service, because rest of the components like services, storage, and network are managed by the cloud service providers. Okay, if all of these, if all of these components are managed, operated, and owned by the company who is implementing the digital transformation or who is trying to move the complete ERP system to cloud, then it is known as nothing but similar to on-premise services. Okay, it becomes similar to on-premise services because there's no intervention required from any cloud service provider. So the fourth category is nothing but when it is all owned, operated, and managed by the own company. Okay, by the company which is implementing the digital transformation or the company which is going digital. in managing the ERP, okay, then it is nothing but the on premise, because there's no intervention or there's no need of any special assistance from any service provider, because the network, storage, services, operating system, runtime, applications, data, everything will be managed by the company which is implementing the digital product. Okay, to just to revisit this and make the concept clear, I'll try to define again all of these separately. Okay, so now let us look at what has been told. So I'll try to repeat them one by one. So when the data, okay, when the data is managed, okay, is managed and owned by the company which is doing the digital transformation, or which is moving to the digital world, then it is known as software as a service, because all the rest of the things like applications, runtime, okay, operating systems, the services, and the network put together is managed by the cloud service provider. So managed by you. Okay. In this context, you means the company which is implementing the digital product, or which is going for a digital transformation. So it is all only the data is managed by the company. Rest is managed by the cloud service provider. Okay. So we will use a short form CSP. Okay. Now, what is this called? So this is software as a service, or in short, SaaS. Okay, so this is the kind of uh, very very much in use these days, because the risk of implementing the entire landscape is reduced and only the data is managed. So the data is still under control by the person or the company which is implementing the cloud services, but the rest of the components like applications, runtime, operating system, services, and the network is all managed by the cloud service provider. Okay, so this is managed by the cloud service provider. So this essentially reduces the risk, and also it is profitable to do the scaling like upscaling or the downscaling. So this is one kind of service. So let us redefine the second, okay, which is platform as a service. So what happens in platform as a service? Platform as a service. In short form, it is known as PaaS. Okay. So platform as a service. In this case, what will happen is data along with applications. Okay. Data along with applications are managed by the company which is implementing the digital product, or the services, or the landscape of the ERP. Okay. In that case, it is known as platform as a service. In that case, it is known as platform as a service. Okay. So what is the next category, or the next category of IT services? Okay. Wherein we will have data, application, plus the runtime along with OS. Okay. Along with OS is all managed by the company which is implementing the ERP landscape, but the rest of the components like the API services or the other kinds of services along with network is all managed by the cloud service provider. Then what is this category known as? It is known as infrastructure. Infrastructure as a service, or in short form we can name is IaaS, infrastructure as a service. So these are the three different kinds of IT services which is provided as part of cloud computing. in what happens in on premise. Okay, so on premise we can see that all of these, okay, all of these is managed by a single entity, which is nothing but the ERP implementing company, or the company which tries to do the digital transformation. So that company manages all these components. That is why it is known as on-premise. And all of the other features, okay, like we have already highlighted, like on-demand self-service, network access, resource pooling, elasticity, metering, rapid deployment, all of these are not provided by that feature. Okay, it is not provided as a feature of that IT service. So that is why that is a very old concept of IT services, which is the on-premise. The rest of the three, okay, the new IT service configurations or the cloud computing IT services categories are as listed. Okay, so also let's try to provide some examples. Okay, software as a service can be like Gmail or Salesforce. Why? If most of you might have used the Gmail services, that you see that only the data which is transferred between you as a sender or a receiver and the other party, whoever is a sender or receiver, is only managed by you. But the rest of the component, like the Gmail software application itself, which is hosted, run, and managed, it is all done by the service provider. In this case, it is Google or the Alphabet. Okay, so application runtime, operating system, the network, and all the APIs which are part of a Gmail mailbox server. Okay, that is all managed by Google or the Alphabet, which is a parent company. Similarly, we have other examples. Okay, platform as a service, we have Cloud Foundry. Okay, in Cloud Foundry, the data and applications are managed by the company, which is doing a digital transformation, but the rest of the components are managed by the cloud service provider. Okay, for infrastructure as a service, the example is SUSE, SUSE Cloud. Okay, so the in this concept, you see that the data application, runtime, and OS, it's all operated or managed by the person or the company which is implementing it. But the rest, the services and network, are managed by the cloud service provider.